Welcome to Salve, a therapeutic podcast for digital ailments. We're here to ease your online aches and entrepreneurial anxieties, one session at a time, with our host Jordan Brannon and today's guests Jessie and Matt from ChannelEngine. Today's case, the chronic fatigue caused by operating across marketplaces.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan Brannon, and we are here with another episode of Salve, your place to go when you need a cure for a digital ailment as you look to scale your business online. Today, we are going to be talking about that chronic fatigue you experience when you try and operate a business across multiple channels and marketplaces. I'm really excited to have a couple of guests from Coalition's wonderful partner, ChannelEngine, with us today. We've got Matt and Jessie joining us. They are going to help you uncover the causes of that fatigue, like what is happening that makes you feel so weak and so tired all the time. And they're also going to help us diagnose some of the treatments. So how do we deal with some of the symptoms? How do we actually get to a place where we're really happy with operating our business across multiple channels and marketplaces? So I want to turn over the microphone to Jessie first. Jessie, maybe you could give us a quick introduction on yourself and your role at ChannelEngine, and then we'll go to you, Matt. And after that, we'll jump in and deal with this chronic fatigue issue that we're setting out to cure today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jordan, for kicking us off, and so excited to be here. Um, as you may know, I'm Jessie. I've been working at ChannelEngine for a little over a year now. I'm the go-to-market lead on their commercial team, which means I control everything that is related to a campaign or messaging that's sent out to a prospect or any sort of lead. So they call me the lead generator here. Unofficially, I also create AI clones of everybody on our sales team. So that's my secret specialty. I'm sitting actually in our New York office where all the magic happens. This is our US headquarters. And yeah, I'm
Awesome.
so happy to be here. I'll hand it
Awesome.
off
Yeah,
to Matt.
nice to be here as well. And I'd love to see what my clone looks like at some point. Jesse. I head up our North American partnerships here at ChannelEngine. So that is managing some of our most fun tech and agency partners. Coalition is absolutely one of the top ones and most fun that I get to
Yeah.
deal with on a regular basis. So super excited to be here talking about everyone's favorite ailments.
Isn't that nice? Like, we're really appealing to that person who lives and dies by WebMD with this. Like, man, is something going to kill me? And the answer is yes, it's always going to kill you. But chances are you've misdiagnosed yourself by going to WebMD. So very cool to have you both. I definitely want to go back to Jessie and those AI sales agents. That'll probably be something we want to close on, just because everybody loves a tip around what a good AI tool is, what you're using. That could be a helpful little takeaway. But I do want to make sure we spend some time dealing with this ailment. So one of the things that we see a lot as an agency, as we're starting to work with customers who are beginning to scale their businesses online, is there's this perception that I can just go to Amazon and I can add $1 million to my GMV annually just by Amazoning it, or the same thing with Walmart or Target or eBay, or there's just so many different marketplaces and channels people can sell through, and they just think that it's a copy paste of their business. And they almost immediately run into some pain points. Matt or Jessie, what are some of the first ones that you see show up as you're talking to businesses that are looking at scaling across channels, or maybe even scaling off of a marketplace into their own D2C website experience? Like, what sort of is the first place where the hair starts falling out, it's a little harder to get out of bed in the morning? What are some of the ways that those things actually begin to surface in a business?
Yeah, for sure. Maybe Matt, I
Or
can kick us off. Actually, I'm fresh off a bunch of client calls this morning, so it's really good timing. I feel like the two types of prospects I talk to the most when it comes to challenges with marketplace selling, they fall into two buckets, especially now because e-commerce is shifting so much now. And the first bucket is They're usually, they've been doing this for many years. They're very successful in the business to business and wholesale model. They've got their distributors set up, they've got their resellers set up, and they're breaking into marketplaces for the first time. And it's kind of like a wild animal to them. Like, they're usually like, okay, do I just activate as many websites as possible and then spray and pray my catalog at everyone and just hope that something sticks there? So there's those guys. And then I would say the second bucket are more like the seasoned marketplace sellers who really started out more primarily direct to consumer instead of business to business. So selling on like an e-commerce store is not their first venture, but they're really looking to expand because they might have been burned by a marketplace where they didn't see the revenue that they expected to see, or maybe they just invested improperly and suddenly overnight all of their listings got pulled for a certain category. So I see it's really like these two buckets, and there are a lot of unique and specific challenges to each. But yeah, I would kind of say that that's what's been at the forefront these
Matt,
days for
any
me.
others that you would add in there?
Yeah, I would say from a partner lens, a lot of times I hear kind of junk data in, junk data out, right? So really trying to make sure that the product information that is heading towards some system of record, right? Some product information management system, a PIM, or a channel engine of sorts, actually has the correct information across that product listing. Not an easy thing to always do in the first place, and very, very challenging to then map to each of the marketplaces from an upstream perspective once you actually have that information in a centralized place. And then there's this level of completeness. Is it just data to input, or is it actually going to impact the way a consumer looks at your product once it's live and in front of a customer? So I think those things stick out to me.
So two other maybe pain points. I like the good data in, good data out, bad data in, who knows what you get. That's maybe like if we're talking about this as chronic fatigue, you're probably over imbibing on the energy drinks. Like calm down on the rock stars. That's not actually an effective treatment. Like you just can't panic in the middle and then cure bad data. There's got to be something else that you're doing that's a little more long term. And I apologize if either of you are a rock star or associated with any particular brand sponsor here.
No, we put down the energy drink.
Good. Yeah, keep it off screen for now. Like, oh, I'm going to drop that real quick. One of the questions I have kind of came up with both of your comments. Is this sort of multiple marketplace? And I think one of the mistakes that we see where this pain really begins to crop up is I launched my first marketplace, or I've launched my e-commerce channel, and I'm kind of using that spreadsheet go-between as like my first sort of mitigating approach. Like I'll download a spreadsheet from one and upload the spreadsheet to the other and then fiddle with the data there, and it kind of works. But how similar are some of these marketplace channels? Like, is it really something that a spreadsheet is an effective way of copy pasting, or are you already sort of duplicating the problem and duplicating the pain by not really treating these as unique animals?
Oh, super good question. And I wish there was a clear-cut way to view all the channels. But honestly, out of the hundreds of marketplaces we work with globally, there are no two channels that are that similar. And it's for a number of reasons. Every website is built on their own architecture. So Miracle is a software that we partner with. We call it our Miracle Bakery. So a lot of the channels like Macy's, Best Buy, we recently launched Lowe's. These are powered through Miracle. But then you have a whole separate tech stack when it comes to Amazon, Walmart, Target. These guys are operating on their own platforms. And what that means is for our sellers, they really feel this once they start getting in more of those storefronts set up. And they're like, oh my God, the flat file that I want to use for my Amazon listings, it doesn't work for Target. The platform doesn't understand it. And it doesn't work when it comes to Macy's. So now they have some poor guy or girl on their e-commerce team sitting there and adjusting every single title, every single listing, how they want to display pricing for each and every channel. And that is kind of, I mean, it's a good point for us because that's usually when they call up ChannelEngine and they're like, there's got to be an easier way to do this because I don't want to be sending in another template just to be doing it all over again for
Yep.
another marketplace.
Yeah.
I'll also add to that this notion of taxonomy. So, how do each one of these marketplaces classify each product? So one marketplace may call something like they may say this is home, home and deco. This is kitchen. This is all these
Yep,
kind of
yep,
similar terms that we would think of as a natural consumer, but may
yeah,
live in a different like taxonomy structure from marketplace A, Amazon, to Walmart B. And so there becomes a real challenge when you're trying to figure out, okay, can I just upload that same spreadsheet to each one of these marketplaces? Because
Yeah.
each one is going to call for similar, sometimes the exact same information, but in a just small, slight variation of the first one. And so you have to think through that as well as you're starting to uh, launch these new marketplaces.
So one of the big pain points I think that we've touched on is the time of maintaining these different channels. So like Jessie, you talked about like, I've got to hire a person or do it myself who's at a computer and is sort of copy pasting. I've got a Google sheet where I've got everybody's taxonomy structures. I've got to highlight the cells that I want, download the sheet that I want, upload the sheet that I want. And if I made a mistake, guess what? I've got to go back to the drawing board, do it all again. Is that the biggest pain point associated to this? Or are there other places where just in terms of dollars and cents, brand reputation, things like that, where maybe the pain is amplified even greater than just the manual time and dollars associated with manual time to get that data into the right spots?
yeah, absolutely. I think when folks start using ChannelEngine, that becomes the trigger point in which they realize either their marketplace setup is really good, uh, and their tech stack is set up really well, or it's not set up well at all, because we are kind of that middle layer that lives in between. So in terms of actual dollars and cents, this is usually the point where folks realize, oh God, like my ERP is in no shape to have this information syndicated back and forth to and from the marketplaces because it's
Yeah.
just wrong data. Or the way I'm allocating my inventory today doesn't actually make sense. And now it looks like I'm constantly out of stock on this marketplace, but not on this one. But I have no idea where that overlap is. So I'm overselling in some way. And this is when you really see that the sellers feel the brunt of those revenue losses because you're spiraling, right? You don't even know what's actually live on the marketplace channel at that point, and you don't know if it matches up with whatever internal system you're using, whether that's an ERP, a PIM, or e-commerce solution. And that becomes the point where, oh God, like we're losing revenue or we're losing profit or our listing health is being affected or our Amazon algorithm score is
Yeah.
decreasing.
Yeah, I think one of my customers that I was talking to here said it's not like losing change, right? Like you can always go back to the couch cushion or the car seat and you find that change. Like you can kind of get like, okay, I found 90% of what I lost later. But if you aren't optimizing things well today, that's just lost dollars, lost customers that you just have no way of quantifying. And sure, the month you sort of wake up, realize, oh, I can actually treat this thing. I don't have to live with it. And you fix it, you start to get like, oh wow, like I saw a lift, but that doesn't tell you like what happened for the months or years prior where you were in that situation where like a customer coming to that particular product page saw out of stock inventory, saw inaccurate descriptions because the description being shared was from a different marketplace, wrong pricing, all of those sorts of things. Like they're gone. They're back into the ether and you have no idea what it was that you lost. I really like that sort of comparison of like, this is not like pocket change where you can't actually go back and you can find it. So one of the things that kind of I want to ask is when someone is at this point of like diagnosing the pain and they're starting to realize that there is that missed opportunity that they're not going to have back, like what happens when they do make the move and they seek treatment with ChannelEngine and the caring team there? Like, is there any case studies, any examples that you can kind of speak to that would maybe help offer some perspective of like, hey, seek this treatment maybe a little bit sooner rather than later? Anything like that, Jessie or Matt?
Yeah. Honestly, every day. Got a whole library of examples. I can't name drop per se, but one example that comes to mind is actually, and I think a lot of folks fall into this bucket where Amazon is their best channel, and that kind of becomes the core backbone of their direct to consumer operations. And so with ChannelEngine, you're actually able to use Amazon as almost like your source of truth for setting up every other marketplace. And what we've seen and what we hear is always, we do really well on Amazon. I'm almost positive we would do just as well on other marketplaces, and we don't want to be bound to just Amazon. And the kinds of success that we've seen with ChannelEngine is that because we kind of operate as like a one-stop shop platform where you're no longer jumping in and out of each platform, it's become very easy to map those existing marketplaces, aka the existing Amazon success, onto Amazons of other regions. I believe we have a customer today that sells on just Amazon in like 20 different countries, and it's the same setup, but that's so much easier with something like ChannelEngine rather than having a designated Amazon rep sit in every country and figure that out from scratch. Another example of this still relating to Amazon is, some folks think Amazon is their best channel until they are proven wrong. And with us, we actually help liaise those relationships with the new marketplaces. So we've got a lot of warm connections there. And when a category opens up and it's hot and the marketplace wants to invest in that, that's kind of the perfect time to introduce a new seller there. And we've seen that some folks, despite having Amazon be their best channel for many, many years, in the last couple of years, I've seen some strange things skyrocket. TikTok Shop has
Yeah.
been massive for even very specific categories like electronics. Who would have thought that for TikTok Shop that would be a good one? Same for Target Plus. Folks that thought, oh, like, Target Plus might be a little too curated for us. They ended up seeing a lot of their biggest success on Target Plus. So that's kind of some examples that we see very often where the assumption is one thing because the business has been running that way for so long, but ChannelEngine has made it very easy to either dip your toe into another channel or be able to experiment with a larger product selection on a wider
It's
scope.
interesting. I think one of the things that we saw as a post-COVID reality was that we ended up seeing a lot more of these marketplaces emerge. Like traditional retailers became a marketplace and like really moved aggressively into that sort of experience and saw it to be a great success. Like they added a lot of new products. They didn't have to deal with inventory. And so all of a sudden we had the Best Buys and we had Target Plus and we had Walmart. We had all of these different sort of like, there's just so many new sort of marketplaces really growing rapidly. Is that trend line continuing? Are we seeing more and more sort of big name e-commerce retailers shifting to marketplaces and maybe even just new marketplaces emerging?
Yeah. All the time. Sorry, man, I'm hogging the mic a little bit here, but I'm so passionate about this because for ChannelEngine, our marketplace roadmap is entirely client driven. So if our customers are saying, hey, you guys need to find a way to connect your API to these marketplaces, we will die trying to do it. And we see this across the board. And honestly, it's the fault of generations like my own. The buyer is getting younger and younger, and we don't like going in store. We don't like talking to people. We don't like calling when we want to return something, and we absolutely don't want to email a customer service representative either. And so what happens is now you have a generation that relies on a lot of these marketplace channels for product discovery. I believe last year we actually interviewed around like 5,000 unique online shoppers in the US, and we found that the average shopper is researching the same product on at least 3 channels of their choice, and they don't actually care where they're making that purchase. in the end, they just care that it's the product that they want and it's on the marketplace that they've built trust in or they see has the most credibility. A lot of AI is part of that too. A lot of folks might be going into ChatGPT or Google Gemini and being like, "Hey, I'm looking for this, but I don't know where to find it." And suddenly, listings are coming up on all sorts of channels. Lowe's, Best Buy, where have you. Um, so that's a huge economical shift there. And the retailers are very much picking up on that. I mean, our conversation with Best Buy, with Lowe's, with Overstock. Everyone wants a bite
Mm-hmm.
of the marketplace pie because they know that it's being used as a search engine and now it's also a
Yeah.
place of trust. I mean, you and I might feel more comfortable purchasing a pair of slippers from Amazon than we would purchasing, a new bedroom dresser from Amazon. But for some reason, going on Wayfair, you have a different feel, right? Now you feel like even though it's the same dresser, it's the same ASIN, the same SKU, suddenly it just feels more reputable. And it's hard to explain, but this is also just the direction that the
Yeah.
buyers and the
Yeah,
market is
I do
moving
think there's some
towards.
really interesting dynamic plays. I think COVID, you touched on TikTok Shop. I think COVID sort of drove us to informational entertainment shopping. We saw a lot of like QVC-esque experiences, even by ones that were privately produced by our clients, really doing well. And we've seen that trend line continue at scale, like Amazon's dabbled in sort of like their live selling. Facebook live selling is still doing really well. TikTok, of course. And now people are buying because of entertainment, like, just like the TikTok experience where
Yep.
the product is featured. I'll go and back that up with, shopping. I was cracking up. I saw a great like small town restaurant commercial that was basically a joke about where you'd want to fall out of an airplane. And so like the premise is sort of like your fear of falling out of an airplane, and it somehow like ends up like at this local Mexican shop, like, and hundreds of thousands of views, like, and just doing super well. But I think that's sort of what we expect now from brands as we're shopping. Is like, I want to be able to get information, I want to be able to get specs on one place, but I also might just want to buy a tamale from someplace as well. With the AI piece, uh, are you seeing any feedback from your customers like we are, that because of hallucinations, because of sort of AIs grabbing from weird spots at times, that there is value in having more consistent data across these different places because it allows a chat GPT to actually answer something truthfully rather than inventing a price and a retailer and a place you can purchase? Are you seeing any of that sort of feedback happening from any of your customers?
I was going to say, Jessie, you got this.
Data consistency, absolutely. Uh, yeah, I mean, more information is just better and it needs to be consistent or else there's a trustworthiness issue there. I've heard brands tell me like, yeah, like people just don't want to shop on this channel because there's not a PDF of, the manual attached and there's no video of the actual product. I want to see reviews. I want to see consistency. So in terms of at least the data, that's something that we try very hard to facilitate properly because we are that middle layer piece. So ultimately, using something like ChannelEngine ends up exposing, are you using your PIM solutions correctly? Is what populates your Shopify or Adobe Commerce, is that sufficient for the marketplace? And on the marketplace end, we also get a lot of feedback there. So something that I really love about ChannelEngine is it kind of operates as a sandbox before things go live on the marketplaces. So every seller gets an overview of listed products and what's activated, and we will show you exactly what is missing. And that helps because there are attributes that exist on one channel that don't exist on another. For example, very nuanced things like country of origin, battery type, things that every channel specifies in their own way. And we understand that this is not necessarily information that already exists in your ERP or in your e-commerce because maybe that information was set up for a different reason. ERPs are used for accounting as well. It's used for inventory as well. E-commerce is also used for sometimes, a D2C only. audience. So we identify those nuances, and then within ChannelEngine, we actually flag that, and you're able to set up specific rule sets and automations to say, hey, if it's this channel and it's this kind of product or description says this, then make sure that we're pre-populating that attribute with this kind of data. And in the end, what we're trying to achieve is consistency across the channels for what the requirements are, but we also want to remain, compliant with those taxonomy changes, those condition changes, without, losing focus on what we're actually putting out there on the marketplace, because we don't want to just connect it to the ERP and then step back and
Is
hope
there
for the
any
best.
specific places like where that, again, maybe the unknown pain really surfaces in that moment, like when you're onboarding and you're sort of beginning to do this mapping and someone's like, man, I've been publishing this data, or I've not been publishing this data, and I really should have been, or I really shouldn't have been? Is there like a common marketplace where like that discovery happens and people are like kind of wincing and kind of doing this at the table with you on the Zoom call?
Oh my gosh. I can't name specific marketplaces that are guilty of this,
Just
because
make it
honestly,
rhyme, like Amazon
it's
or Falmart
I
or
would I would
Fargate.
just say, like, maybe it's not specific to any of those, but to all of them at the same time. When that mapping happens, the exercise of the mapping, there's typically an
Mhm.
aha moment, which is like, wow, we we did not have all of the components to what a successful product detail page looks and feels like. Or we did, but only 20% of our SKUs.
Yeah.
Uh, and so there is absolutely that moment of okay, here's where we are, and maybe what are the ways we can get to 80% of that catalog being more notion of complete, and can someone like a ChannelEngine perhaps help us by clicking a couple buttons and completing that for us, or helping us get there super fast? So that's, I'd say there's an aha moment there for sure.
I think we've had a couple of those where we've had like someone do this sort of exasperated collapse back into the chair and then sort of slide under the table. Yeah, especially like on the advertising front, where our paid advertising team is working with an Amazon launch, and we're trying to get products up, we're trying to sell, and the executive team working with us has got big expectations for what Amazon's supposed to do, and we're just like, this is we don't have the data that you think we do. We're not getting the information that we should have. Then we get a ChannelEngine launch, and all of a sudden, like, it's like, oh, actually Amazon is a net growth addition to us. It's not feeling like it's just competing with our own D2C store. We're actually starting to see that Amazon customer who only shops on Amazon buying from us, because guess what? We actually are getting the information through that we needed to at the right time and consistently, and we're not dying on that hill. So other pain points that ChannelEngine helps solve that sort of are in this sort of chronic fatigue area, maybe again, what are the causes of those, and how are people mitigating some of them as an in-between before they land up on ChannelEngine?
Yeah. Gosh, there's so many. Maybe something that relates to something new that we released, because our clients asked for it. And I believe it actually makes our solution quite unique. But we offer settlements reports for every single marketplace, which it's so necessary, right? Because when you're playing the marketplace game and you apply as a seller, you don't know if that commission rate
Yeah.
is ad hoc. You don't know if it's specific to your brand. You don't know if they're telling everybody 15%, 20%, whatever it may be. You don't know what it is. You just know what it is for yourself. But also, there's no one place you can go to identify the exact profit and losses taken after each sale, after all those fees are accounted for. And that number becomes so convoluted for these brands to identify, especially if they're using a mixture of fulfillment methods, like they might be relying on, direct fulfillment, but also using their own 3PL, but also relying on channel fulfillment like Walmart Fulfilled Services or MCF or FBA through Amazon. Suddenly, you don't actually know what parts of your catalog are doing well, performing well on the channels, and are actually even worth selling online. And so settlements coupled with our insights features where we create Power BI reports that have way too much information, but the data teams that use us love it because you can drill down to what time your buyers are buying on each marketplace, and how many times they're repeat buying, which SKUs perform well quarter over quarter. You can get into the nitty gritty, but this coupled with the settlements has kind of been the cherry on top. And there have been a lot of folks that told us, like, hey, we didn't even know that selling just these SKUs is more profitable than itself on this marketplace than releasing our whole catalog. And we didn't know that we were able to identify these, say, 2 SKUs that aren't even profitable after all fees are taken. And those are kind of the hidden pains that there's just so much going on when it comes to e-commerce management. They're not going to notice that. They're seeing, okay, inventory's going out the door. That's good. That's a sale made. But what is the actual math at the end of that equation? And is it worth even selling that on the marketplace?
That's super valuable, because I think one of the things we've had come up time and time again in these conversations about pain points is how finance and accounting teams are often sort of left off. Their pain points are treated as a separate thing. Like unless finance and accounting are the founder, right? Like then all of a sudden, bookkeeping is really important. But a lot of times it's like a first hire for an organization that's growing. Like we deal with a lot of these startups that were someone's great idea. They created a product. They did a little bit of personal fundraising. They financed it. It just was super successful. Maybe they hit the right moment with social media. And now they're running an 8-figure business, and they hired somebody to do their accounting and bookkeeping locally. And that person was used to doing accounting and bookkeeping for a local medical practice and not for high volume e-com. And in between trying to keep up with state nexus and all of these different things, they just aren't watching how many dollars are actually coming in and how many dollars are actually going out. And sometimes those numbers don't add up until it's too late. And we'll hear stories of brands that, hit the brakes at the end of the year, and they're like, we didn't realize we had an awesome year revenue-wise, but we lost a lot of money doing it. So that's a really interesting, that's an amazing feature that you had. I don't know that I've ever heard of any of our other partners working in sort of a similar area that has sort of that particular settlement insight, which is really, really helpful. Any other sort of quick call-outs for ChannelEngine? Maybe new product launches. I'm curious to see what you guys are doing with AI, because AI is everywhere. Is there a Perplexity agent or a Chat GPT integration coming that we can publicly announce here? Anything like that, which would be useful for the audience to know.
Are you still on that AI co-pilot team?
No,
doesn't exist. Just bleep.
So I'll give some background here. So our founder and CEO, he loves AI. Like definitely one of the top, like in all of the Netherlands, he's probably like top 10 for loves AI person. But there's a lot that's in store for us. Especially because you see AI becoming more and more embedded in the search functionalities, and shopping experience on each of the marketplaces. I mean, you see this a lot on Amazon. It's super creepy that you could use the camera to place the sofa in the corner of the room.
And
that
Jeff
I'm
is actually
in.
like got
Very
a picture of your
weird
living
and
room
bizarre.
now. He's like, okay, I know.
Right. Like I'm always thinking that, right? Like what are they capturing here? But you can't get away from it. So for us, like AI is definitely it's a lot more subtle in our seller experience. We like to think that a lot of the brands that we work with are still kind of coming off of that old school mentality where a lot of using ChannelEngine is still internal change management between their e-com, sales, IT, and finance teams. But the way that the AI shows up is there's subtle things. So, for example, when it comes to category mapping, Matt brought up earlier when he was talking about product information, categories are set up uniquely to each marketplace, and subcategories get even more granular. So our solution has built-in AI-powered category mapping, where we automatically map to the categories that we find are most suitable based off of the existing data that we've collected from all of our clients. So in a lot of cases, you might actually identify that, oh, my product might actually be more suitable for this category. I've been listing it in this other one for years at this point. So that's something that we use AI to suggest. We also use AI in a more obvious way for our virtual product bundler. So when it comes to products that maybe are sold better as a combination or a kit, or maybe they just don't sell very well on its own and you want to liquidate the stock, that's also okay. It's very easy for us to generate these virtual bundles on just the marketplace level without changing anything about how your warehouse team is pick, pack, and shipping these actual products. They're not going into the warehouse and bundling holiday baskets, but on the marketplace, we use we use the AI virtual product bundler to help you generate a description that makes sense for the products you want to bundle together. We'll even create an image. Sometimes it's like missing an arm or something, so definitely recommend like taking a check before publishing. We'll put it like on a table or something presentable. But you can generate these bundles and therefore add to your overall SKU count. And then when these orders come in, you're processing them just as separate line items. So it's very seamless on the back end, but on the front end, now your customers are seeing, I could buy this one shampoo, or I could buy this pre-shampoo shampoo and conditioner for this bundled price. That seems like a better deal to me. And now you're liquidating more of that stuff.
It's a really cool call, especially for, again, approaching this from the marketer perspective, where one of our challenges with getting a marketing strategy and a merchandising strategy to go live on a marketplace is always pulling teeth. That's a really neat sort of concept of being able to bundle. Like, hey, like what can we do to help move some inventory, increase sales, but also preserving margins and make it look, like there's a good discount. That's really, really interesting. I love the product bundling idea. That's really cool. So you had touched at the top of the call. I'm going to come all the way back to it. Like, what's the AI tool that you're using? What's your secret sauce, your favorite go-to LLM for cloning Matt, putting him on the internet as a QVC shoppable host that demonstrates the product and calls out my phone. What are some of your favorite AI tools that are out there, Jessie or Matt?
Yeah. I could start here. So at least on the lead generation end, it is very, very creepy how fast AI is replacing the average salesperson. And I tell every salesperson now, like, this is your time to shine and not be average, because chances are there's an AI bot out there that can write emails or LinkedIn messages better than you can. And I've received so many of these, and for me now, as someone who's in charge of the messaging and the campaign strategy, now I just want to make sure, okay, whatever that goes out there, I don't want anyone to read this and be like, this is AI. But at the same time, I want the efficiency of AI, right? And so when I say like these AI agents on my team, it's great because I can help, say, a Matt on my team develop his messaging out to the partners or the customers that are being introduced by the partners and put together a campaign. And the AI will actually clean up the data and facilitate sending the messages in a fashion that, doesn't land it in spam or isn't, overwhelming, where you're suddenly getting an email every 3 days and you're like, gosh, like I haven't even gotten a chance to look at this, and you're already sending a, hey Jordan, just checking in, corny message that you definitely don't want to respond to. So a lot of the AI usage internally is for this, making sure that Matt can work faster, that I can reach my prospects faster, but also help them identify the data that they're looking for faster, the information on our website, technical documentation, what does that look like, creating RFPs for them, creating outlines for them. So that's a lot the internal
particular
usage.
tools.
I'll kick it over to Matt if
name
you've got
names.
any.
Third parties you recommend, tools. You Chat GPT person versus a Gemini. Like what? Give me a couple of drop some resources there.
I love Gemini. I'm learning to love the HubSpot buyer intent, which is also like an AI dark data tool. I love
Hmm.
Jason AI. This is like my virtual best friend on the
Okay.
sales team now, because there's only one of me, but Jason makes it possible to
Okay.
have 10 of me, 20 of me. He basically is an AI agent that pretends to be me when I'm not sitting there
Okay.
answering my emails or
Interesting. Okay.
sending
Very
out
cool. Look into
emails.
that one.
Yeah.
Matt, what about you?
I think from my perspective, it's about trying to find the right customers to put our
Mhm.
tool set in front of, particularly with partners like Coalition, right? So you got hundreds and hundreds of awesome customers, but not all of them are a great fit for what we do, right? And that's okay. So how
Yeah.
do we figure out together faster which customers would benefit the most from the tools and services that we provide, plus your amazing advertising and marketing prowess. So for me, it's all about how do I use these tools like ChatGPT, for instance, to figure out, okay, who's already selling on marketplaces? What do their strategies look like? And ultimately, can we help these customers get to a better place faster? And that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to use these tools for.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, I really appreciate you both joining us today. Again, a lot of really good insights. I think if you're considering, again, diversifying your existing marketplace strategy, adding in some new channels, or this is a step one, you're hitting that sort of home run on Amazon and you want to figure out how to do D2C and Target and Walmart well, let's talk to ChannelEngine and make sure that we can treat that chronic fatigue that often follows trying to run through multiple channels. Thank you both for your time today. We're so excited to continue our conversation next time here on Salve as we look to cure your digital ailments together. Bye, everyone.